I'm sorry to be on my phone, but this notification just came up that
Go ahead.
I wish came up 10 minutes before. Um, this came from The Athletic. Shohei Ohtani to defer $68 million of his $70 million annual salary with the Dodgers. He'll reportedly have to wait more than a decade to collect his vast majority of his 10-year deal. The deal will refer this money per year. So he'll get paid out between 2034 and 2043 without interest, just so the Dodgers can continue adding. I'm sorry, that needs to be that should be illegal.
I wanted to react to the Shohei Ohtani news that dropped on Saturday. I don't think it was a surprise at all that he went to the Dodgers. I think most people knew. I think for years that the Dodgers were heavily interested in him. And I think we all knew he kind of wanted to stay on the West Coast, Los Angeles. There was the pipe dream that maybe the Yankees or the Mets would get involved in Shohei Ohtani, especially the Mets, knowing that they have Steve Cohen. They have the ability to be a really high bidder in this. But reports came out that even the money that Ohtani got from the Dodgers was too much for Steve Cohen. I know you and I both reacted like, wow, to this contract. But when you first saw that, what was your reaction exactly?
So, I mean, I think it's arguably funny that the Blue Jays and the whole layout of how this all went, that they were basing it off of a Reddit report that so-and-so was having a sushi dinner and his private plane was flying. The whole process, I'm a little disappointed in because one, the journalism side of it was thrown out the window. It was a shame on how things were reported, not only just on the Ohtani front, but the Soto deal. And then,
Oh
of
my
course,
God.
if we're, I don't want to always talk about Yankees in this conversation, but the fact that there was a trade made between the Dodgers and Yankees that was agreed upon, but that was just an inkling until 48 hours or 24 hours later until the names were actually released. The baseball media just throwing shit until it sticks was kind of annoying this time around, especially when baseball offseason is in prime football time of playoff hunts and who's in, who's out type of thing. There's not a lot of a room for error. Didn't like how everything went around with that. I also didn't really like how, Ohtani, who is this megastar, kept it very close to heart. And again, he's not one to, be very vocal in the media. But he is also, the face, if not one of the faces of baseball. There needs to be more of that pageantry where, not to the LeBron James level of having a sit down, I'm making a decision on ESPN filled with advertising, but also that there needed to be some insight of like, is this an actual hunt or are you just going to the Dodgers as everyone predicted?
Yeah, no question, man. I mean, this guy, when his career's over, has the chance to be the greatest player to ever play the sport. At least in that conversation. And you would think like his free agency, especially because in baseball with the amount of years put on a contract, it doesn't happen too often. Like in the NBA, it's like 3-4 years, happens every 4 years. Like LeBron's been a free agent like 3 times in his career, and it's been notable pretty much every time. Even the one where we all knew he was probably going to the Lakers, it still had juice to it. That's what's a shame. And I see people like Mad Dog and Stephen A. They get, and I don't really care for Stephen A's knowledge of baseball. I'm just bringing him up as an example. This should have been something you saw all the time in the daily news. Like, where's Ohtani going? Where's Ohtani going? And it's like, okay, I guess he's going to the Dodgers. Fine. But the money, $700 million, is a huge amount of money. Now, I think it stuck out for a lot of people, not only because of the large number of it, but mainly because Ohtani is not pitching next year. And what's your thoughts? And are you concerned about the contract from that perspective? Do you think when he returns, he'll just be fine? I believe that, but there is that question, I think, to some people.
It's kind of twofold because on the business side of things, there is no, salary cap on the MLB level. It's obviously luxury tax implications in a team like a Dodgers. The bottom line doesn't matter. They're a profitable organization. They're a winning organization. They'll do fine. I joked around and it's like, if you do the math, that contract will technically be paid over on jersey sales if they sell over 5 million jerseys.
Yeah.
And it's like Ohtani is a global superstar. That's
Mm-hmm.
not out of the question.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely not criticizing the move. I'm just saying, like, some people were like, wow, he's not even pitching next year. 700 million is crazy. But I mean, if you saw how horrible Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman were in the playoffs last year, it's nice to have Shohei Ohtani also in that lineup. And, you know, it's funny because the Yankees kind of I know I'm bringing up the Yankees, but it is true. Like the Yankees for years kind of got criticized. I say that in, you know, bunny ears, whatever, but like saying that, oh, they just buy their players. Classic Yankees just buy the players. I mean, the Dodgers are quite literally doing that.
And nothing's guaranteed anymore. You know, you
Yeah.
saw the Diamondbacks, and obviously the Rangers are on the other end of the spectrum of, you
Mhm.
know, paying for talent. But the Diamondbacks, a lot of homegrown talent, they weren't spending a lot of money. Like it doesn't equate to everything,
Mhm.
especially in a 162 game season plus the playoffs. Um, Also, it's like, yes, you know, statistically speaking, the Angels had two of the best players in our generation and have not made a playoff appearance while they were together. I think
Mhm.
Mike Trout has only been to the playoffs for one game, and it was a loss.
Mhm.
So it doesn't necessarily mean everything. When you're making an investment like that, is it a more of a business standpoint of like, we got a global superstar that can be average and we'll figure out the contract ever because all eyes are on Ohtani? But on the flip side, my fear, which is, you know, one thing I was very surprised, you know, I wasn't surprised with teams bailing out, was the fact that you're paying for a DH in the year of 2024.
Mhm.
Will he pitch in 2025? I don't know.
Mhm.
He says he will, but like it's going to get to a point where like he is not a two-way player his entire career. There's
Yeah.
no way about it. And it's like, is that a lot of money for a DH? I don't know.
Yeah. You know, and will he come back and pitch well? That's another thing too.
That's like,
As far as like, because we've never seen him play in the postseason, as far as like performing in the postseason, I don't have any concern about that. I mean, we saw him in the World Baseball Classic. He was phenomenal. That's really big. And you know, I just think for a team like the Dodgers, who have had their share of playoff flops after great regular seasons, a move like Shohei Ohtani definitely is a huge aspect. Like it adds an aspect to them that they haven't had. So I think
I I
yeah.
agree, but
Mhm.
I also, you know, hot take, I'm not that impressed with this Dodgers team as a whole.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not like, you know, if you're looking at, you know, I don't even know what their starting pitchers look like. I
Yeah, that was
assume,
my main concern with them.
you
Yeah.
know, I assume Clayton Kershaw comes back, but it's another year older. It's
Hmm.
another year of like dominant in certain stretches, not so great in others.
Hmm.
Um, I do not believe Urias is playing.
No, that's a huge thing.
He's
Yes.
obviously not
So
gone.
that's
And
why,
then their
yeah.
fourth starter was Lance Lynn, who is now with the Cardinals. So it's
Hmm.
like, what is their rotation right now?
Yeah.
Could they play in for Yamamoto, which I know we're going to talk about in a little bit? I mean, they
Yeah.
have the money, they'll do whatever, but
Hmm.
it doesn't seem like that's a priority now. Like,
Hmm.
where are they filling in the rest of their rotation? And again, you have a Freddie Freeman, you have a Mookie Betts, but like their outfield's fine,
Yeah.
consistent. You know,
Hmm.
Otani is now your DH, but like Max Muncy's another year older. You know,
Hmm.
Miguel Rojas is fine. You know, it's
Yeah.
a solid team.
Yeah.
And I guess like now that the Padres have lost people and the Giants haven't really made moves, like you
Hmm.
jump up, but you still have the Diamondbacks. You still
Yeah.
have the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, I mean, I guess their plan of action was like, let's just get Ohtani in here and we'll figure out that stuff later, which I don't think is a bad plan. Especially when the Dodgers have had good regular seasons in general, they usually find a way to figure out. I wasn't really sold on their team coming into this past season, and I was probably proven right in the playoffs. But in the regular season, they were still good and consistent.
And I'm sorry to be on my phone, but this notification just came up that
Go ahead.
I wish came up 10 minutes before. Um, this came from the Athletic. Shohei Ohtani to defer 68 million of his $70 million annual salary with the Dodgers. He'll reportedly have to wait more than a decade to collect his vast majority of his 10-year deal. The deal will refer this money per year. So he'll get paid out between 2034 and 2043 without interest, just so the Dodgers can continue adding. I'm sorry, that needs to be that should be illegal.
Why doesn't even make sense to me? I was like, that can happen?
That should be
Wow.
illegal. because like now I'm a little concerned that like the Dodgers can go for a Yamamoto. And again, the money doesn't matter, but like you're saying Shohei Ohtani is going to make $2 million a year and just defer the money for the future. Like that should not be the case, especially if you're going to sign him to like that. This might force a lockout.
Oh my God. Wow. Well, I'm sorry to be kind of like, because I wanted to get into something else, but
Yeah,
that's
like
pretty crazy. Oh my God, that's insane. I've never, like I said, never heard of that. Is this the first time this has ever happened? I assume.
something at this level. I mean, I'm just like trying to scroll through. Like that, like I'm actually at a loss of words because like on
Oh my gosh.
it's not like it's a $10 million player deferring the money to be in the for the future, right? Like
Yeah.
how is something like this not vetoed upon? Because that just changes, like you can throw whatever contract you want and just pay it in the future and not have to worry about luxury taxes now.
Yeah.
Like I don't even care about the buying player aspect. It's just like you went from a historical contract of $70 million, which now you're like, yeah, we're just going to give you $2 million a year and you'll get massive payout in the future, but then we get to do whatever we want. I do not like this
That's
whatsoever.
disgraceful. And I'm seeing people reacting to it now, including Fuzzy, who I follow on YouTube. Big fan, by the way. Shout out to Fuzzy. But yeah, like that's unheard of. And John Boy just tweeted, and now I believe Yamamoto is a Dodger. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's disgraceful. I don't know if I could even react to the next topic that I wanted to talk about, but I'm gonna try. Um, oh man, that is nuts. Wow, this can't like you said before, this could force a lockout eventually. Like that is just terrible for the sport. Like at some point, you have to have limits, man.
That like the system's broken, and honestly, like
Wow.
Rob Manfred needs to stand up, or like this has to be under protest because what is the point?
And I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not the most confident Rob Manfred is gonna step
No,
in and do things, especially what happened in Oakland, that disgrace. Wow. And that just makes the Dodgers more unlikable and hated because like, okay, like it feels kind of like, oh man, like, wow. I can't even like, I'm completely speechless right now. Like that's even happened. And I'm curious to see what the reaction is going to be after just like a few hours, just to see how people are going to react to this. How I'd like to see like the main talk shows talk about this tomorrow. I know we're like mid NFL and stuff, and they like to talk a lot about the NFL and the NBA, but man, this has to be discussed and addressed, especially with someone as big as Ohtani in here. Like this, you know what I mean?
crazy.